So hi everyone, thank you so much for coming to our information session about study abroad and global education, also known as SAGE at Scripps College. My name is Anna Marie Wood. I'm a Senior Assistant Director of Admission here at Scripps and also a graduate from the class of 2013. I'm joined today by Neva Barker, Director of SAGE, as well as current Scripps students who have participated in SAGE at Scripps. I also studied abroad during my time at Scripps and worked very closely with Neva and her office, so I'm excited to be here today. I went to Vienna, Austria in the spring semester of my junior year. It's been almost 10 years since I did that, but it's been something that I think back on very fondly, and I'm glad that I had that opportunity. I also brought a mug that I still have with me today from my time in Vienna, so I'm also glad that I still have that mug after almost 10 years. So anyway, the purpose of this session is for you to learn more about these study abroad and global education opportunities at Scripps College. I want to make sure that we have as much time as possible for Neva and our current students to share their experiences. But before I turn this over to you all, Neva and the students, I want to highlight a few logistical things about how this session will work. This session will last approximately 50 minutes. And at any point during the session, you can ask a question, and you can do so by going to the Q&A box that you see at the bottom of your screen. You can type in a question there. Lastly, we are recording this session, so in case you have to leave or you want to rewatch it, we will post the recording of this session on the Scripps on Your Screen virtual hub, which is where you found the registration for this event to begin with. So with all that said, I will turn it over to you, Neva.
Okay. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Neva Barker. I'm the Director of Study Abroad and Global Education. And while we do have 95% of our programs are overseas, we do have programs in the US as well. So when we say study abroad, we're also including those type of programs as well. So we have over, I think, 120 approved programs in 47 different countries that our students can participate on. We have about 60% of each graduating class tends to have a semester away as part of their four-year career at Scripps. And so it's a high percentage. It's something that is strongly supported by faculty. Your financial aid will all transfer to your experience abroad, with the exception of work study, but everything else transfers to your participation abroad. You typically go in your junior year, so you start thinking about this. Well, you can start thinking from day one, but you don't have to. Generally, people start in their sophomore year planning ahead for this and talking to faculty about what they would like this to look like, how it will work. We can support all majors. We can support, well, some majors have more limited options or requirements that they have to do here on campus, so they might not have as many choices and they might need to plan a little bit earlier. But in general, every student in every major can make this work if it's something they want to participate in. I really want to get straight to the students because they're the most interesting part of this whole presentation, and I'm happy to answer questions later by email. If you have questions, feel free to contact us, and we look forward to hearing from you and working with you. So without further ado, I'm going to ask students to introduce themselves, and they're going to tell you about where they chose to go, their major, and maybe just a quick little bit about why they chose that particular program. So we will start with Anna, if that's okay.
Hi, I'm Anna. I'm a junior at Scripps, and my major is biochemistry, and I have a minor in Spanish. I studied abroad with the School of International Training, SIT, in Valparaiso in Chile last semester, and I chose that program because I really wanted to do a community-based program. The one that I did specifically was called Cultural Identity, Social Justice, and Community Development. And I really connected with that topic, and also that we could travel to different parts of the country as part of the program. And there was an internship or an independent study at the end.
Olivia, could you go next?
Yes, so my name's Olivia. I'm a foreign languages major at Scripps studying Spanish and Korean. I'm also a junior that went abroad in the fall. My program was in Seoul, South Korea through CIEE, the Council on International Exchange, I think. And the reason I chose my program was because I really wanted to improve my Korean. I'd taken 4 semesters of it at CMC, thought there was a lot to gain from going and getting some in-person experience. And this program in particular had a lot of really neat field trip opportunities that I wanted to take advantage of. We got to see the DMZ and the JSA, which was really crazy. Got to travel to some of the rural communities in Korea, as well as to a coastal area to see the Busan International Film Festival. So those were all things that I was really excited about when picking my program.
Thank you. Juliana?
Yeah, so I'm Juliana. I'm a junior at Scripps studying anthropology and media studies, and I studied abroad in the fall in Sydney, Australia through the BU, or the Boston University internship program. So part of the program was doing an internship for half of the program, and that was something that really drew me to the BU program. And I also really wanted to be in Sydney, and it provided me with a lot of classes towards my major and minor as well.
Caroline, sorry.
No problem. Hi, everyone. I'm Caroline. I'm a junior at Scripps studying sociology through Pomona. And I completed the London School of Economics general course program in London. And this is a year-long program at the London School of Economics, taking classes with other LSE students. And I chose that program because I really wanted to immerse myself in a big city for a full year and really feel like a part of the community there. And I had a really positive experience that I'm excited to share with everyone.
And Natalie.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nathalie. I am also a junior at Scripps. I'm also a sociology major at Pomona, along with legal studies, dual major. And I did the SIT, so School for International Training, IHP, which is International Honors Program. So like Anna, it was through SIT, but kind of a offshoot of that. And so my program went to Chile, Nepal, and Jordan. And so those 3 countries in 1 semester. And it was focused on human rights. So that was kind of the center of the study. And I chose the program because I hadn't studied a lot in the past, and I really wanted the opportunity just to kind of like see the world. And I'm so grateful that I did, considering how things have changed so much. And yeah, and I really wanted a close-knit community. So my program was only 28 students, and we traveled together. So yeah, I'm super excited to answer y'all's questions. Yeah, I had a great time. So.
Well, I was very excited about this panel because they do represent a wide range of the types of programs that you can participate on. A lot of people think of studying at a university as the study abroad experience, but there are experiential programs and others internship programs. And so for the next discussion from the students, I'd like to hear about your academic content of what kind of courses. Could things count to your major, or did you plan it another way so that you could fit in some of your GEs, or just general education credit because you worked out your schedule to make that work? So I think that will be interesting, as well as let us know if there's anything unusual like the independent studies, the internships, the research you might have done that was something you could not have done on campus. And so you had that opportunity. And we will start with Juliana.
Yeah, so my program had a really interesting academic structure. So it was split into 2 different parts. And in the first part, we took 2 classes. And in the second part, we did our internship and took 1 class. So the internship was Tuesday through Friday, like all day you were at your internship, and you were really immersed in the company culture for, I think, 7 weeks. So it was a pretty, like, almost as long as you would have for a summer internship. And I think it was just like a amazing experience to be able to be a part of company in another country and like really feel immersed in the company. And it was probably one of my favorite parts of the program. And then in terms of classes, I took 2 classes, one towards my major, one towards my minor. And then my internship counted towards general education studies, but you can also have them count towards a specific department if you wanted credit for that. And then I also took one class for fun that I didn't get Scripps credit for, but I had overloaded another semester, so I was able to kind of work it out. But I think this program in particular, Boston University has programs all over the world, and they're really great at kind of having classes for a variety of majors. And yeah, I definitely recommend it.
Caroline?
So LSU is a little bit different in that all of the classes are year-long classes for the most part. They do offer some half-unit courses, which are like regular college courses here in the US. But one full year course at LSE counted to 2 courses here at Scripps. So I ended up taking 2 full year courses and 2 half-unit courses. And it was really great because they all were able to fulfill major requirements through the sociology department. So I ended up actually fulfilling 2 core sociology requirements and then a couple of sociology electives. So there was really no worries there. Obviously, LSE is a school that focuses on the social sciences, and as someone who's studying sociology, it worked out perfectly for me, but it probably wouldn't work very well if you were studying STEM or something in the humanities or fine arts, for example. But overall, it worked out pretty well.
Nathalie?
Yeah, so the way that my classes were structured, so I did just have classes with those 28 students that I talked about earlier that were on my program from universities all across the country, and then we had some international students as well, or like non-American students. So I took 4 classes during my semester, and it kind of worked out to be like how a Scripps kind of typical course load is, a lot of reading, a lot of discussion-based classes. And so because I was going from country to country, I did have 4 classes that ran the entire semester, but then my professors would change for every country or every like area that we went to. And so the curriculum would kind of continue, but in a different cultural context. And then the other thing that IHP, which was my program, really emphasizes is doing community research. So we had a research methods class that kind of led into our own independent research project. So we all chose a topic and then once again studied it in a comparative way across the 3 different countries we went to. So yeah, 4 classes, plus we had to do outside research, doing interviews with community members, and kind of gathering data, and it all culminated in the end of the semester. I think it was like 10 to 12 page research paper. So yeah, it was really great though.
Olivia?
So my program was based at one of the top universities in Korea. We had our program, but the university has in general an international student program where international students from all over the world come in. So they offer international student classes. You can also take main university classes. The international student community there is really just a rich community. I took classes mostly focused on Korean culture, so things like food, politics, mass media, and those were really interesting. I also took a Korean language course intensive, which was really awesome, really helpful. It was a 2 hours a day, 5 day a week type of thing, but there was also a beginner's Korean option that for people who wanted to learn a little Korean, who didn't want to take such an intensive course. I found that the courses were a very different style from Scripps in that they're more exam-based. We didn't really have a ton of homework, but that also gave us a lot of time to explore the city while still kind of learning a lot in class and kind of being able to take the learning from in class to outside of class. There was, I'm trying to think. I think overall the material that I learned there was really helpful because it gave more context for the upper division Korean classes that I'm taking now. And it was really nice because the courses I took at Yonsei University all counted for my major. So I'm done with my Korean language credits for my major now, which was really helpful because sometimes the offerings for Korean don't always work with, your course times as that happens. So it's good to knock those out.
And Anna?
In my program, none of the classes counted for my major because I'm a biochemistry major. So they're very strict about what classes can count. Also, there was no STEM while I was studying abroad in this program, but that was a choice that I made, and I was able to schedule my classes very strictly in order to make sure everything worked out. For my minor, almost all of the classes counted because I'm a Spanish minor, and all of the courses in my program were taught in Spanish. So I was able to do that, and one of the courses counted for a GE. At my program, all of the students in the classes were students doing the same program. So we didn't do a university class, and we would focus on 2 classes at a time out of the 5 that we took in total, and finish the entire course. And then our last month was devoted to an internship or an independent study project where you would do research and then have a paper at the end. And I did the internship.
What was your internship?
My internship was with the municipality of Valparaiso, and I worked with the Office of Sexual Diversity with their work, and my project that I focused on specifically within the internship was creating the structure for an informational meeting talking about women loving women sexuality with an emphasis on transgender women.
Wow, great. Juliana, can you tell us about your internship? I forgot to ask you.
Yeah, no, I forgot to mention it too. So within the BU program, you can pick different tracks that you want to do. So you can do a finance track, a health track, and I did the marketing, PR, advertising track. So I really wanted to work at a larger corporation because most of my past internships have been at smaller startups. So I worked at a marketing agency called Crossmark, which specializes in like food marketing and consumer goods. So I worked in a little bit of marketing, was a little bit of business development, and also a little bit of recruiting. So they kind of exposed me to a bunch of different departments, and got to learn a lot about the company and got to know a lot of different people there as well. And still in touch with some of them today.
Thank you. So the next thing to talk about will be about your housing arrangements. A lot of people are always interested in that. How did it work out? Were you cooking for yourself? Where did you live? Did you have a commute? What were those kind of experiences like? And for this, we will maybe start with Caroline as having the most traditional kind of arrangement that people might have expected.
Yeah. So I lived in a dorm, like an LSE dorm. It was about a 20-minute walk from the main LSE campus, which I kind of equated to like an NYU, like a very city campus. It didn't really have a campus. It was more just kind of a collection of buildings. But I lived about a 20-minute walk from that, and my dorm was huge. It had hundreds of students, mostly first years. The LSE program, or the LSE in general, really encourages first years to live in their dorms, but beyond that, most people end up doing their own thing for housing. But I lived in the dorm. I had a single. I had a little kitchen, and kind of made my own food some days. Sometimes went out with friends. Food situation was a little bit difficult because they did offer dinner in the hall, but it wasn't good. It wasn't really what I was used to. And so I ended up kind of doing my own thing for that, but just I made the budget work. I love to cook, so it ended up working out well. And I'm trying to think what other things, but yeah, it was pretty traditional. I lived in central London. I had access to the tube. I had access to grocery stores and tons of activities. So I really loved my location, but as far as the facilities and like the quality of the dorms, it just wasn't up to Scripps standards, but you know, obviously not a lot is.
Olivia, how about you?
Yes, so I also lived in a dorm on campus. It was an international student dorm, it was next to all of the international student buildings, like with an underground walkway to those buildings, you know, so if it's cold in the winter or anything. But probably about a 10 to 15 minute walk from main campus, depending on how fast you're run walking. As far as safety, they had tap-in features, so nobody could get into the I guess like the main dorm areas. I lived in a double with another student from my program. Our room had a small balcony with the air conditioning unit on it, and then a toilet, shower, and sink all in the dorm, which was really nice, which differs from a lot of Scripps dorms. But then our dorm had a really big kitchen area, also I think a workout area, and attached to the dorm as well were some student cafeteria type foods. And as far as like cooking and any of that, I really didn't cook. The food in Korea was on campus, was very cheap. It was targeted towards students. You could get healthy food for probably like $4 for dinner, lunch. It was pretty sweet. I mean, it would have taken way more time and effort to cook, and I wouldn't have been making food that was exciting as Korean food. So I did that a lot. And then in the area surrounding the dorm, we were in an excellent college area. The part of the city we're in, there's probably 3 or more colleges within like 15 minutes on the bus or train. We were near a subway station, lots of shopping and fun things like karaoke. Just a really student-packed place with lots of fun cafes. Really anything you'd need is probably within like a 15-minute walk or bus ride. And there was a bus stop really close to the dorm. A train station was maybe 1 kilometer away, but really quick walk. Always a lot of people out, and always felt really safe, I thought.
Great, thank you. And for contrast, let's hear from Anna.
For my program, I lived with the host family. Everyone in my program lived with a different family, so I was the only student who lived with them. It was an older couple, Kelly and Rodrigo, and their dog, Troy, after High School Musical, of course. And so I lived in one of their spare rooms and ate most of my meals with them, except for lunch. I would usually bring something that Kelly had prepared for me to my classes, and then I would eat breakfast and dinner with them. I could also go out and eat something with friends, but mostly I ate with them. To go to my class, I took the metro, which is the train, or I could have taken the micros, which are buses, but they were a little bit intense. So I mostly took the train because it was more reliable. Is there anything else?
Nope.
No? Awesome.
Thank you. And Natalie, as a comparative?
Yeah. First of all, I realized I forgot to talk about majors, but like Caroline, most of my classes fit into sociology electives. So yeah, the program probably wouldn't have worked for like STEM or maybe a different major, but I got it to work for at least electives. But anyway, on to living. Yeah, so like Anna, I also lived with host families in each of the 3 countries. And so it really, you know, it was kind of a lot of transitioning. My program, definitely if you're looking to like settle in somewhere, I would not do this program because even within each country, we also would do like week-long little trips into like more rural areas. So I actually ended up having 4 different host families because I had 2 in Chile. And then there was a week in Nepal where we went to southern Nepal, which is a really rural area. And we kind of lived in like little cabin style living. So that was without host families, but we had like 3 to 4 people per room. And there was a lot of situations like that where we just had like, we were kind of thrown into a hotel or thrown into some sort of living situation. And we kind of like found out about it like a week before, and then we packed up our bags and left, which I thought was really fun. But in terms of the host families, it really varied for each country along with transportation. So in Chile, I took the metro to classes, and sometimes the buses, which are similar to the micros in Valparaiso that Anna was talking about. It's so fun to hear about Valparaiso. And then in Nepal, I had a walk to class. So it was about 20 minutes walk. And that was also a learning experience. My host family like walked me there one time, and then they're like, okay, figure out how to come back. And so my roommate and I, we like figured out through the little streets of Nepal. And then for Jordan, the public transportation there is not very good. So we did Uber, and we did get stipends for transportation. So in each country, they would kind of figure out how much you would need. In terms of food, like Anna, most of my meals were with host family. So breakfast and dinner was with my host family. And then for lunch, we did get a stipend, and we'd just find like a restaurant or in Nepal, like usually food carts for lunch. And then on the weekend, you know, if we wanted to go out with friends, out to restaurants, we were able to do that. So yeah, I felt like it was a really great mix between like being with host families and then also getting to explore kind of on my own. Oh, and then one other thing was that in terms of rooming, I had a roommate in every country, and that was pretty typical. So if you're looking for kind of more privacy, you're probably not going to get that, which was something I had to kind of adjust to, was that I was thinking about it as like, oh, I haven't had a night alone in like 4 months. So definitely something to keep in mind with the IHP program.
Okay, and Juliana.
So my program was located in central Sydney in this neighborhood called Chippendale, and it was really near the major train station. You could walk to a lot of different areas of the harbor. So I really enjoyed being in such a great location. You're also near a lot of the different universities in Sydney too, if you want to get involved in clubs at the different universities nearby as well. It's an opportunity for that. Everyone lives in the same building. I lived in a suite with 3 other girls, and we all had our own rooms, which was really great, but we like were right next to each other. We shared a kitchen, shared bathrooms and whatever. And we cooked for ourselves for the most part. We went out to eat every once in a while, but not that much. Food is generally like pretty inexpensive in Australia. I don't think I spent much more than like $30 a week on groceries. Like it really was not that expensive. But it was a lot more expensive if you wanted to eat out. And it was kind of fun to cook, different from being at Scripps where you get all your meals in a dining hall. So it definitely takes more time, but it's a good skill to learn that I had to learn. And then in terms of my commute, all my classes were in the same building that we lived in, which was really convenient. So you didn't really have to get ready for class. You just walk downstairs. But my internship was about a 40-minute train ride away. And I kind of chose that because I wanted to have a longer commute and kind of see a different side of Sydney. So my internship was in the northern part of Sydney, so across the Harbour Bridge. And it was honestly like one of my favorite parts was just the commute and like looking out the window and like going over the Harbour Bridge was a really fun routine to have. But a lot of students did internships that were more local where they could walk or be only like 1 train stop away. And Sydney definitely has really great, accessible and affordable public transportation that I think you can take advantage of to go to the beach, go to the airport even, and really get around fast and efficiently.
Thank you. And I just wanted to point out here that at Scripps, you pay the Scripps comprehensive fees for tuition, room, and board for your semester away. And within that, we cover your tuition, obviously for your program, your housing, your meals, a round trip airfare, and the required mandatory insurance for you within the country. But the way that is handled you can see with all of these programs, some people would have received an allowance for their meals, so they bought their own groceries. Others would have had it provided by the host family. Some might have had just lunches that they needed to have provided, etc. So it varies by program. And most programs already include the housing as part of the program fee that we pay, but some people do have to find their own housing. That's pretty rare, but it is one of the options that people have. So we'll have one more question so we can leave time for questions from the visitors we have joining us. And so for the last one, if you want to tell us about, you can do either one, of something you're really proud of accomplishing from your semester, or if you have particular tips to people as they're thinking about, although you've already included a lot of tips in your answers, but if you wanted to tell people how to, what good things you would pass on to them as they're making these choices. So Juliana, we'll just start with you since you're front and center now.
Yeah, sure. So I think something I'm really proud of myself is learning to push myself to do things even if my friends didn't want to go with me. So a goal of mine was really to travel a lot throughout Australia, and I kind of made a list in my head of all the places I wanted to go to. Didn't think it was going to happen, but I actually was able to go to all the places I wanted to, and was able to find programs, like week-long programs that I did. I was able to do a trip up the coast of Queensland in Australia. And I was with a bunch of other people, mid-20s, early 20s, even if they weren't in my program. So it was a really great way to see a lot of Australia in the spring break week I had. So I think I definitely pushed myself to be out of my comfort zone and kind of just do what makes me happy and explore the city on my own. And I think I kind of brought that confidence back to Scripps when I was here last semester, or this semester. And then in terms of a tip, I think definitely think about what you want to get out of your semester. Do you want to travel a lot? What classes do you want to take? Do you want to be in a big program, a small program? Kind of what you want to get out of your program. I personally know that I didn't want to move around a lot. I knew that I wanted to kind of get to know one city and really feel comfortable there. So I was really drawn to the BU program because I could do that, and the classes were really accessible and local, and just wanted to feel really comfortable. So yeah.
Anna?
I think the thing that I'm most proud of is, excuse me, while I was abroad in Chile, there were huge protests that happened that started in October and continued beyond when I went home at the end of the semester. So the word of the semester, which also has continued into now, was uncertainty. And uncertainty about safety, uncertainty if we were going to be able to stay in the country, or if we'd have to go to a different country or go back home. We were able to fortunately stay in, and I was able to do what I could with my internship, even though I would message the person in charge every day, and sometimes she'd be like, no, there's too much tear gas in the streets. We're all marching today. We aren't gonna have the internship. And I'd be like, okay. And then the next day she'd be like, come in. And so I'd go in, and sometimes there'd be a lot of tear gas. Sometimes there wouldn't be. But I think what I'm most proud of is being able to see that happen personally, because the theme of our program was also centered in social justice, and being able to study about the history of social justice in Chile and then see all of these people marching for what they believed in and the things they needed to see change in the country, and then being able to work through my internship with people who were on the front lines, and also working within the local government to have positive change for the LGBT community. It was really amazing for me. Yeah. And my tips, you don't need to bring as much as you think you need to bring. I was like packing, and then my parents were like, you don't need this. It's too much. And so I was like, okay, I'll bring less. That was definitely the best decision, because my suitcase was full when I went home. And there were some people in my program who couldn't fit everything coming back home. But yeah, I definitely made the right decision for that.
That's a very good tip. How about Caroline?
Yeah, so similar to Juliana, I'm really proud of the fact that I just kind of moved to this huge city abroad and managed to live there without knowing anyone. Like, it's a big city, a big program, a big school, the London School of Economics. Like, I remember my mom dropped me off in September, and I just kind of sat in my room and I was like, okay, I don't know anyone. Like, I'm gonna have to go out and meet people. And it's not a program where they set you up to like have friends or like go through orientation with people. There's none of that. So it's really just kind of up to you to like make it work. And one of the ways I ended up meeting some of my closest friends was by like going on trips with people, just like even weekend trips to places in the UK, and like being like, okay, like let's go to Stonehenge, and you kind of get on this bus with a bunch of random people, and after the end of the weekend you're like, okay, we're friends. So I'm really, really proud of that. And I mean, I think I had to leave, you know, in late March because of coronavirus, and I just looked back and I was like, okay, I've met these lifelong friends who are all around the world now, and like I'm going to be able to continue those friendships hopefully for the long term. So that's really great to look back on. And then that kind of translates very well into like tips and advice for all of you. I think knowing that like study abroad can be a very isolating and lonely experience at times, and people don't really talk about that because you're supposed to have this idea of study abroad of being like this amazing year and like wonderful in every way. And there were wonderful, wonderful parts, but I think depending on the program, and especially for me in London, it could feel a little bit lonely at times. So just keeping that in mind and remembering like what worked for you and kind of your personality, that'll be super helpful.
Thank you. Nathalie?
Okay. So yeah, my program was great. I could talk about it forever. But well, one thing I was proud of is that I have an extreme fear of flying, and so to fly to all those places was a lot for me. But that was like the main thing that I had to get over. That was more of an internal struggle. But no, I think I really learned to kind of just like go with the flow. That was something that my program, even though it was very, very well detailed, and our program coordinators in each country were like extremely competent and like really did an amazing job of planning so much for us. There was a lot of times where, you know, kind of as I said before, it was like, okay, and like off we go, pack up your bags, like, or, you know, there would be a plan that would change. And so myself, along with the like 27 other students that I was with, like we really learned to kind of adapt. And that's something that we all had to learn to do. But I also feel like I had the opportunity to travel with friends. We weren't allowed to leave the country. So that's something to know about SIT, or at least my program was that you were not able to leave the country. And if you did plan on doing a weekend vacation, you had to let the program director know. So if you're looking for a program where you can, you know, be in Europe and go to all these different places on the weekend or wherever, that's probably not my program. But yeah, my friends and I got to like go into the Chilean mountains for a weekend, and then we were in Jordan. We got to go to Aqaba, which is this kind of like beach town on our own, and it was really cool to kind of travel in a country where we didn't know the language or really the norms, and it was, yeah. And then after my program, I actually did like a week-long travel by myself. And that was something I definitely wouldn't have felt comfortable doing prior, I think, to study abroad. So definitely gave confidence in that. In terms of like tips, I would say really be aware of kind of, I mean, everyone said this, but what you want to get out of the program. So for example, like I was with the same 27 people for 4 months, which was, you know, like we definitely became a family and like bickered and, you know, but if you're looking to have a little bit more independence or kind of be on your own, like I never really got that, which was fine because I made like lifelong friends that I still talk to today. And, you know, whenever I FaceTime them, it's kind of like we never left, like we get back into the same arguments we did on the program and stuff. But you know, so if you're looking for that kind of like family experience, but yeah, everyone's different. Obviously it worked really well for me, but just really think about what you want socially and culturally.
And finally, Olivia.
Yeah, so I guess a bit of a disclaimer. I was in Korea for a few months before I studied abroad to do an internship. So some of like the early like, how do I deal with living and getting around in a new place thing happened then, which made the transition, I think, a little easier. But for me, something I was really nervous about was, like Caroline said, like being lonely in a new place. Like, how do I meet people? How do I make friends and like explore and feel like I belong in a place? And I think for me, one of the things that I was most excited to see from summer through fall was that I became really comfortable. And I mean, these days, while we're all at home, I think back a lot to all of the adventures and exciting opportunities that I got to have, seeing how maybe friendships and things like that built over the course of the 7 or so months. Thinking about travel, East Asia, there are a lot of really awesome places to visit. My friend and I took a weekend trip to Japan since flights were really cheap due to a good old trade war between Korea and Japan. So, lots of opportunities to explore within the country itself. Korea is a really small country. You can get from basically the top of South Korea to the tip of the bottom tip of it in like 2 or 3 hours on a train. It's a really great place to explore. The city of Seoul itself has just incredible different places all over the place. There are different neighborhoods that have different, just activities and different places to explore. And just for me, coming from a smaller, like 110,000 people city and experimenting with public transportation in a different language and travel and all those things was something I was really nervous about going in. But after being there and mastering it and feeling more comfortable taking the train or figuring out that in a foreign country than I can in LA was really just astounding. It was really fun to see that growth for me as someone who really values familiarity with people and places. So it was a lot of fun.
Thank you, everyone. And well, you can't hear clapping, but I know everyone's clapping for you and thanking you for participating. I'll clap. Or there's a clap symbol at the bottom. I think some people can put those up, but we won't see them. I can see some of the questions in the chat box, and I just want to quickly address a couple of them. But then I prefer that you hear from students. But people are asking about STEM and about pre-med, and definitely those are majors. And other majors like dance and art require you to think early about this and plan ahead. So the STEM majors, the pre-med majors, there are definitely programs where you could do science courses abroad. Most people do electives in their major rather than foundational courses, so you'll want to get your 2 semesters of biology, chemistry, etc. taken care of before you go, especially organic chemistry. That is not easy to do anywhere else in the world. And if you leave that for junior year, you're going to prevent yourself from going abroad probably. But in general, yes, there are lots of programs, university programs, field-based programs that have more of a science component to them. So it is definitely something to do and possible, but you'll want to start early in planning for that. And then other questions I see about going for more than 1 semester. That is a petition process, and it is something I would say 95% of students go for a semester only. We do have petitions. Petitions are based on the academic focus of why you want to do for more than one semester. While travel is a great benefit of study abroad, it can't be the reason why you're wanting to do 2 semesters. But we do tend to approve people who thought about it and worked with their faculty to make sure they can fit in and graduate on time. That's the key component we're looking at when you petition. And then, does this make sense? Jumping from here to there, like the program Nathalie did, they're looking at the same theme in 3 different countries. So that tends to be something they go, yes. And foreign languages major, Olivia probably would have easily been approved to do a Spanish program if she wanted to do that. So yes, you can go one place for a full year, or you could go to 2 places in 2 different semesters. And we don't do summer programs at Scripps, but that is something that some people do participate in. Unfortunately, there's no Scripps financial aid for that, but it is something you can do as transfer credit, just as you would take a course at a local university during the summer. So that's how that works. I don't know if there are other questions, Anne-Marie, or when do we actually end? At 11:50?
Awesome. No, thank you so much. That was really fast, Neva. We got through all the questions. Thank you.
Well, not quite. I didn't go into France, but we could. That student should email me, and we'll talk about that.
That's my next question is, thank you all for sharing your experiences, and thank you admitted students for asking your questions. Neva, I know I also saw a couple of questions about if students just want to learn more, whether that's reaching out to you or seeing the types of programs we offer, how can they learn more about study abroad?
Well, at the moment, the program details are in the Inside Scripps page. So when you do register and sign up and have your email pass, you'll be able to see a lot more of those options. But I know that might be something that you want to consider as you're deciding whether Scripps is right for you or not. And we're very excited to talk to you, email, Zoom meetings with you as you wish to explore some of the very specific questions you might have about what programs in France, etc. So do contact us. We are SAGE, S-A-G-E, at scrippscollege.edu, and that will get you through to us. But yeah, a lot of the detail is kind of in the internal website.
Awesome. And current students, if you want to leave your contact information or just have any resources for students to learn more, feel free to do that. With that, yeah, we're at time. So if there's anything else we need to share, we could share it. If not, then we will end.
Well, I just want to answer the one question about internships, research abroad. There are summer research grants through the Dean of Faculty's office and through the Career Planning and Resources office for internships during the summer. And then the programs that these students went on, some of them have scholarship opportunities to add on to the financial aid you had at Scripps. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
It was great to see you guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.